Hi everybody and welcome to Alistair Davies Golf. Today's quite a nice day. I'm testing the new one length Cobra irons. So I've been quite interested to do this for a while, purely from a kind of teaching perspective and a performance perspective to see how they will perform. Because I had my kind of reservations when they first came out. I know Bryson Dechambeau plays them wonderfully well, but from my point of view, thinking about them, I thought, oh, how will a single length long iron perform and how will a single length short iron perform? And my initial thought was always around, how can a shorter long iron create the same distance as a longer long iron? So I'm interested to see how they perform on Trackman. I'm going to use Trackman for the test, as I would do always for this kind of stuff. I'm going to look at how they perform in difference to, club head speed, distance, see if there's any changes in vertical swing plane, see if there's any changes in performances in direction. So I'm quite interested to see how this test is going to go. Visually, they're a really nice looking club. When I actually pick them up and feel them, and I've got a 6 iron, a 4 iron and 8 iron here, the key thing that strikes me when I pick them up is the 8 iron feels long and the 4 iron feels short. And if you go from both the normal set, the variable length set, to the one length set, you'll see there's a huge difference there in the 4 irons there as we look at that. And when you pick up the 4 iron, it feels pretty natural and normal. When you pick up the 4 iron in the one length set, it feels even shorter than the 6 iron in a way. And I know it is a 7 iron length, so it is shorter than the 6 iron, but it feels like an 8 iron or something like that. It feels really small. So from a coaching perspective, my thought would be you're going to have to make some subtle adjustments to posture and things like this and distance from the ball than you would normally be. The distance from the ball as regards club handle to your body would be the same any club. But you're definitely going to make some different spine tilts potentially compared to a normal club. But it might be a constant spine tilt, which is interesting to see how that makes your performance change or not as well. So the plan is I'm going to hit kind of 4 shots with these 3 irons and look at the Trackman data to see how that compares. I'm also going to see, how it feels and possibly look at some strikes of them as well, see how the strike in the long iron varies or doesn't vary, if it's better with the one length or worse with the one length. And everything's going to be kind of factual. I'm not going to make things up. There's no benefit for me to, make things up. I'll give you my full opinions on how I think they feel and how they perform from the Trackman stuff. And we'll cut to that in a minute and show you that stuff. So looking forward to hitting them. Looking at the Trackman data, if we talk the simple stuff first, let's talk distance. So if we look at the one length clubs with the 6 iron, I hit it 176 yards, 0.5, don't forget the 0.5 yards with the one length club. And with the variable 6 iron, I hit it 174.9. So the variable length club, I hit fractionally shorter total distance than the one length. Now the one length club is about ½ an inch shorter in length than the variable length 6 iron. So in theory, that shouldn't happen. There's obviously something else going on that makes it go further. Club head speed wise, the variable length was 90.5 mile an hour and the one length was 87.9. So I created more speed with the variable length, which kind of, again, from my head, I'd expect it's a longer club, but I actually hit a shorter distance. So there's 2 things that can happen there. Obviously, I could be striking it at better quality. So we got to look at why would that be? Would that be because it's a shorter length shaft, easier for me to hit? Or is it because of what they do to the head? Now, the weighting in the head with the one length is different to the variable length. There is more weight in the head. And they managed to move the MOI lower and deeper. So that kind of helps the performance of the club, especially probably with off-center hits. So maybe there's something about my ball striking. But definitely going further for less speed. Now let's look at another club. Let's look at the 4 iron. The 4 iron, with the variable length, I hit it 198.2 yards, and with the one length, I hit it 197.8. So virtually the same distance, but the variable length slightly won the race if you look at that by 0.4 of a yard. Speed-wise, very similar story. With the speed, I created 5 mile an hour, near enough, more speed with the variable length to the one length. Again, should go a lot further. In Trackman terms, I'd always look at 1 mile an hour clubhead speed being 3 yards in distance. Obviously, this is not the case. So, there's something going on there. Ball speed-wise, it's a closer relationship. There's 3 mile an hour difference in ball speed. So there's still a difference, but the performance is greater. The spin rate in the variable is higher, so the ball's not going to run as much. So you will find it to be maybe a little bit hotter on landing. When we look at the strike pattern, if you like, not so much the strike pattern, but look at the performance pattern where the ball's finished with 4 irons, I hit the 4 iron a lot straighter than the variable length 4 iron. So the 1 length long iron for me performs better on this test. The 6 iron was a fairly similar performance. So, there's no huge gain there for me at the moment. It's very similar. There's certainly no loss though. And the 4 iron definitely went closer. Now, when we look at the 8 iron, the 8 iron, 1 length, I had 87 mile an hour clubhead speed. And with the variable, I had 85.9 mile an hour club speed. So then the story kind of switched over here. Again, the 8 iron, obviously in the 1 length, if we look at it here, is now going to be longer. Whereas obviously in the shorter irons and the 6 iron, it was shorter. So again, that kind of makes sense. Longer the club, the more clubhead speed. Obviously, the greater the kind of width of arc in my golf swing. So it generates more natural clubhead speed without me trying to do a thing. But again, the distance-wise, when I look at the 8 iron distance-wise, it gave me 151.1 yards, and the variable was 149.3 yards. So again, nothing really in it. The 1 length slightly further, but nothing really in it at all. It was kind of the length of the club, even though it's changing in the variables, and the standard length one or the 1 length fixed clubs is changing. The actual speed varies, but the distance doesn't really vary much. So it gives me the same distance as I would normally. So, interesting stuff, even though I thought that would change. So they've done a great job of trying to making the heads work to give you the same performance output, if you like, without affecting obviously the length club, even though the speed changes. So it's just interesting stuff. Now, if we look at something a bit more techie, if we look at my swing plane, in terms of Trackman, my vertical swing plane, with the kind of 1 length stuff, it doesn't change massive amount. It changes 1 or 2 degrees. With the variable length stuff, it changes a little bit more. So we tend to see that obviously there's a it's only slight. There's probably a slightly more consistent vertical swing plane with the 1 length. Again, they're all set at the same lie angle and the same length, so you'd expect to see that a little bit. So that's an interesting point. So again, we're having a more constant posture. We're going to have a more constant vertical swing plane. So there is less kind of mechanical changes going on. The interesting thing from when I hit them is when I picked up the kind of 8 iron wedge, they felt really long. And when I went to a normal length 8 iron wedge, they felt really short. So definitely if you're going from one to the other, there is a little bit of kind of, this feels different. And how am I going to make sure I can strike the ball when it feels different? Because it definitely does feel different. From a performance point of view, they perform very similar. I'd have to say that the long irons for me, based on this test, would perform better. And probably would go, a long way to saying they should go into someone's bag because they're going to perform better. When we looked at the mid irons, I hit a few of the mid irons with my original kind of test, and you'll see 2 things. I warmed up with the 6 iron. You'll see a few of my first 6 irons went left. The lie angle on the 6 iron for me would be too upright. My clubs are normally 3 degrees flat. These are all standard lie angle because these are a demo set that I've got to try. So the lie angle on the 6 iron is way too upright for me. So that then made the ball go left a little bit, and then I kind of learned how to hit it a little bit. But you should get fitted, get the lie angle adjusted for you. If you go for the 1 length stuff, you still get fitted as normal. You can have a longer club and a shorter club, but you'd have a constant length. So you're fitted off what you would need. So if you're normally 1.5 inches longer, you go 1.5 inches longer with all the clubs. If you're half an inch shorter, you go 1/2 inch shorter with all the clubs. But get fitted, because they won't perform differently to what you do normally anyway. So, the verdict, if you like, I think the long irons for me work really, really well. They would take a little bit of adjusting because they feel short, and it feels a bit like cheating. The long irons would take a little bit of adjustment, and the short irons would also take some adjustment for me because they feel long, but in terms of performing and hitting them, they perform just the same. So that's more of a psychological issue and a feeling issue that I'd have to adjust to see how that is going to make me feel on the golf course and comfort-wise. But in terms of what the ball does, they do the same as the variable length. So I can do a bad swing with both, I can do a good swing with both, I can hit good shots with both. But I'm surprised how close they are to distance to a normal length set of clubs. So there's merits in both, and I think if you're a kind of person that likes the kind of concept of having the same kind of setup for every club, I think they might help you feel more comfortable and confident at hitting the ball that way, rather than adjusting maybe your ball position more and adjusting your posture more. Even though from a coaching point of view, I'd want the adjustments to be quite subconscious, because when I get a 4-iron out, I don't feel I'm going to stand differently posturally to a 6-iron, but a longer club, I'm going to be slightly more upright naturally. So it's a very natural subconscious change. But if you're the kind of person that would trust things more because you've got a single length club, definitely worth having a go with. Definitely worth testing anyway, because I said the long irons for me would be quite a game changer for a lot of people, because a lot of average golfers would struggle with long irons, and these long irons being much shorter will give you, in my opinion, probably more control and easiness to hit better shots. So worth trying. Comparing, as always, use factual evidence. Compare on kind of launch monitors or ball flight or dispersion charts with your own eye, which performs better, and then go with your gut. If something's performing better, always try them. Give them a go. So this video's all been about the Cobra One Length Irons. Nice clubs. Quite excited to try them. Hope you've enjoyed the video. If you have, please click like down below. If you haven't subscribed already, please do so. I've got videos coming every single week. And post any comments you have in the box. Love to get to your questions as soon as I can.